This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, here on September the 21st, 2022. And you know what, folks? Just a matter of 2 hours ago, I just had Chris Alexander on the show for the first time. Of course, he formerly the editor of Fangoria magazine and composer and director of films like Girl with a Straight Razor, Space Vampire, Necropolis Legion. Well, he's also one of the co-founders of Horror-rama, which, you know, I got one of these nice nifty shirts on here today.
Oh, nice. I have the volunteer one.
There you go. Well, folks, I got the other co-founder on now because we're doing some major Horror-rama promoting today. I have he's been on twice before, and I actually saw him with his hat off before I started recording. Look at that. Okay, I guess you're Charlie Brown. I asked Chris Alexander, who's Charlie Brown and who's Linus?
Mm-hmm. Who can tell?
Who can tell? Folks, I give you the founder of Suspect Video and one of the co-founders of Horror-rama, Louis Ceriz. How do you do, Louis?
Hello. I'm doing well. I was actually, one of the co-founders of Suspect too. I had a partner in that.
Oh yes. I know his name. Say his name.
His name is Merrill.
Oh, Merrill. That's not the name I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the guy you do the podcast with?
Glenn.
Oh, Glenn.
Yeah. Yeah, Glenn worked there, and he's my my partner in the podcast, and yeah, he's my right-hand guy.
What about your left-hand guy?
That would be Brad, I guess.
Brad?
Yeah.
You know what? It was wonderful to have you back on here. You know, I got VIP for this event, and I got VIP for Frightmare in the Falls, and I'm so looking forward to seeing Lisa Langlois when I go to Toronto. And yeah, I'm going to assist her at this event, which is going to be awesome.
It's going to be fun, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I always got to do a shout out to Lisa because I turned 50 this year, and it was no more than 5 years ago. I've been to Moncton and St. John, and I would get homesick. I wasn't much of a traveler. But when you get an offer from Lisa Langlois to assist her at a horror film convention, you don't say no.
No.
And I enjoyed it so much. I've gone every year since, except for 2020, because some shit was happening out there that, yeah. That I'm still cleaning up at the hospital now, though. But nonetheless, I love Toronto so much, and Lisa not only taught me a little more about culture and ways to improve myself, like my business cards and this and that. She taught me all about the subways and the streetcars. It was a blast, and Lisa is awesome, and I can't wait to see her. We're still in touch,
She is great. Yeah. She's always been really nice and very pleasant, and yeah. I think she's terrific.
Yep. But I am so looking forward to this year's Horror-rama. It's been 2 years.
2 years, yeah. Yeah,
but
it would have been our 9th, but it's our 7th because of the 2 years, the 2-year gap.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, I miss it. But oh,
you guys probably have. Do you have some shows out there too?
We don't have shit here.
No, you should put one on.
What, with my cat? He's laying here asleep.
A lot of my cat here too.
Yeah, a lot of my guests like my cat. He's laying there. He's like, yeah, talk about me. I'm ignoring you. I'm just pretending to sleep. But no, I mean, New Brunswick, it's a nice place, but not a whole lot happens. And
you've got to make it happen.
You know what? I like Toronto. I dig Toronto. I just dig Toronto.
It's pretty nice. It's getting extremely difficult to live here, though. Like the rent prices are just through the roof. And
I
yeah.
know. I wanted to move out there, and I still want to move out there. I'm working at the hospital. I might pay to make that happen. Although I gotta say, I like the people I work with at this hospital here. They actually make it worth my time going in there besides the money.
That's
Yeah, I got
good. That's
I
always
got
a bonus.
I got really good people I work with, and love the people I work with there, and I was glad to get in at that job too. So anyway, I scheduled a week off for Toronto to do Horror-rama, and I scheduled another week for Frightmare in the Falls. Actually, I just heard from James Ponce. He's coming on for a second time the day before I leave for Toronto.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
To that's pretty cool. I didn't know that he was on initially, that he's already
I
been
had
on.
him on last year. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, although I took photos of my VIPs, I don't have a printer or anything. So I hope you guys have that there so
Oh, of
that
course. Yeah.
I had a
We're organized despite what people say.
well, I went to Frightmare in the Falls last year and tickets.com screwed up something
Oh no.
and I ended up missing a night. Now, James Ponce knew I had VIP, but for some weird reason, it wasn't saying it on their lines, even though it was saying I paid for it. So I don't know what the mix up was, but James said that won't happen this year. So, but I got VIPs, and because VIP is just cool. You get a nice little gift bag, get to
It
get
makes
ahead. Yeah.
it makes a lot of sense, like once you start to add all of the stuff. I mean, with a proper VIP, because we'll be giving away Blu-rays and the poster and the T-shirt and entry to everything. And yeah, it if you plan on doing everything, the VIPs are always a better idea, I think.
And don't the VIPs get to go in the nude?
If you want, or
I'm
mostly nude. You just have to cover up your head.
yeah, that would be scary if I did that.
No.
But nonetheless, I am so looking forward to it. And I've interviewed a lot of the people that have already that are there this year. Like Lisa's
Mhm.
been on a couple times. Leslie Donaldson's been on a couple times.
Also very nice.
I've had Caroline Monroe on before. I've had Tom Matthews. Tom Matthews, I'm going to have on tomorrow for the third time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I've had Ryan Brown on 3 times, and
Mhm.
oh gee, oh Lynn and Sean, they've both been on, both twice together and once solo.
Gosh, everyone's been on.
Yeah, the only one I haven't had Lance on, so I'll have to make that happen at some point.
Yeah. How many shows have you done?
You know what? 2017 I did 128, and that was my record until last year I did 144.
Good Lord.
Well, you are, I believe, number 130. How
Two.
do 132?
Sure.
Let me just a sec. I can find out pretty quick.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I could find out pretty darn quick because I'm getting I'd say by the time I leave for Toronto, I will have almost that broke.
Wow.
Yeah, I've done quite well with it. I've done quite well with it this year, so it's done well. Let me see here for a minute because I can figure it out. Look at playlist. Well, you're number 134 this year.
Oh, okay.
Just 10
This year.
off this
Hmm.
year.
Hmm.
662 in total.
Wow.
Yeah, since 2015. It
That's
all
wild.
started with Tommy Wiseau.
That was your first one?
Yep.
And how was that?
How do you think?
Have you seen his online sitcom?
No.
No. It's
No.
it's incredible. It's for people who thought that The Room was lucid and, expertly made.
You
It's
know what?
so
You guys ever going to bring him to Horror-rama? Because technically you can call that a horror film.
you could call it all kinds of things. It would fall into any number of descriptions.
Wow. But yeah,
That'd be
you
pretty
guys,
wild. Well, when we're developing, a show, a lot of names get bandied around. Like I don't think Tommy uh, has been, but there's been a lot of names that just fall through because either they're unavailable or they're too expensive or they're we just can't find them or they simply don't want to do shows or whatever.
who can't you get that you guys wanted to get?
Um, the only ones that were on the docket that uh, we didn't get, although we kind of with some of these started speaking to them, but they unfortunately passed away, were people like Herschel Gordon Lewis. We were pursuing. I wanted to get Giger at some point, but he's dead. I'm a big comic book guy, so I really wanted to get Bernie Wrightson at some point, but he's passed away. I contacted another horror comic god to me, Mike Plug, but he doesn't do shows anymore. It's like there's just a number of reasons why people don't come, and or they want to do just bigger shows, or they want to do shows that are closer to home. So with some people that live in California and Los Angeles in particular, they'll just opt for
Yeah.
LA and surrounding areas, or Texas, or like southern states, as opposed to traveling. And some people don't necessarily want to travel internationally as well. Like we were kind of wary about booking people even this year, because you book people pretty far in advance and you have no idea, at least these times, as to what will happen because things can change within days, really. And so yeah, it's been an interesting year so far.
I've had a number of people that I've interviewed who have asked if I could get them into either Horror-rama or Frightmare in the Falls. And I said, I can throw your name out there. I've got no control over it.
Mm-hmm.
But I recommend highly Nancy McLaughlin from Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives.
Mm-hmm.
I've had her on here 5 times, and she would love to do a show here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, actually, I'll show you something she sent me, because she and I still talk quite a lot.
Oh, cool.
Yep. Yeah. But Nancy is awesome. Eileen Dietz from The Exorcist, she was Pazuzu.
Oh yeah.
She really wants to do Horror-rama. And I've had her on here a couple times. She was Pazuzu.
Mm.
And she's great. She does a lot of shows in the States, but she said she'd like to do one up here.
Oh yeah.
Yep. I just see who else. I've had a few people that reach out. Stefan Armgrim, I know, has mentioned it too, and he was in class of 1984.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So yeah, there's a
Yeah,
few
I
of
mean,
these people.
a lot of great names. I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
the number of people that would be cool to get is endless. Yeah, but there's so many factors that goes into why and why not. Can and can't get people, or people get rescheduled, or things like that. And we don't have the money to bring in like
Why don't you
a bunch
do?
of people from far away.
Why
Well, we
not?
need to sell lots more tickets and do all that. But we like to
So
be a a
Sell lots
niche
more
kind of
tickets.
show. Yeah. Well, we like to, as you know, we try and get guests that other shows don't necessarily get. Like not the casual horror fan. We like to cater to like more of the hardcore horror fan.
Let's
And
talk about,
we like to concentrate on although we don't have any this year, but directors in the past are sort of like they're the ones that I am particularly interested in, although I do like the actors quite a bit, but directors I find really interesting.
Chris Alexander just was part of the Shivers Blu-ray doing a commentary. How risky would it to get David Cronenberg?
Not really risky.
Well, I heard he's pricey. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, we've been speaking with him, but one day. Well,
Yeah,
he
because
just
he
lives.
almost did his first con there in Texas, and
Well,
then COVID hit.
he did a con. He did a fan expo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I
I
hope he
believe he
liked it.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was pretty cool. And I wonder now that I say it out loud, I'm kind of starting to wonder, did he actually? I'm pretty sure that he did. Yeah, but we were talking about him coming to the show, and maybe one day that'll happen.
Yeah, that would be
You know?
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love Cronenberg. But let's talk
Oh
about
yeah.
Caroline Munro. I had her back on here back in 2016, and
Hmm.
yeah. She was something, she still is. I got her on the show because I did a tribute to Ray Harryhausen, where I had John Walsh, who worked closely with Ray, on the show, and I
Oh
was
yeah.
celebrating the anniversary of Clash of the Titans, which is
Oh
still
yeah.
a I love Clash of the Titans,
Hmm.
and he had mentioned the Ray and Ray's wife Diana Foundation. And he mentioned that Caroline was one of the trustees, and of course she was in the Golden Voyage of Sinbad.
Hmm.
So I through him, I got Caroline on the show. And it was a domino effect because through Caroline, I ended up getting Veronica Carlson,
Oh, that's
who we
cool.
just lost.
Hmm.
Because I remember I was talking to Veronica's manager on the phone, and he was looking over my YouTube, and he says to me, and this was so complimenting, he says, "Oh, Veronica will love that you interviewed Caroline." Yeah, they
Yeah,
both
I'm
lovely.
pretty thrilled about Caroline coming. That's uh one of the major people that we've wanted for a while. I mean, she was in so many movies that I saw growing up. Um,
You're grown
yeah,
up?
no, growing up, I'm still growing up. Um, but yeah, I mean, her presence in movies are, it's quite electric and magnetic, and it'll be a lot of fun to, I'm sure that her panel will be chock full of people, because it'll be just fascinating to hear her talk about, the movies that she's been in, and not only, the science fiction and genre ones, but also, the James Bond, and just, the more mainstream stuff too. But yeah, it'll be really fun.
I was so thrilled to have her on the show, and one of the most beautiful women, period, in film.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Oh,
yeah.
I've had her pin up on my wall, you know.
I told her, I said I ranked her right up there with Grace Kelly,
Oh yeah,
and she
that's
thought that was a little much, but I said, look, take it, take it, because she's gorgeous.
hmm.
So,
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be very good.
and that screening of Dracula's 1972 AD, I've never seen that film, so this is going to be a first for me.
Oh, you haven't seen it. It's a treat. It's yeah. I'm not going to say anything really about it, but it's very hip.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a real departure. And I think that probably some Dracula and Bram Stoker um, fans probably deride it quite a bit, because of the transposition of the character to modern times. But I think it's really fun. And yeah, that screening is in lieu of sort of like an after party. We were thinking about doing an after party, but then we thought, we've got Caroline, and let's do something that celebrates her and her career, and something more intimate, but still, have it within the context of a social kind of gathering and with drinks and things like that. So I think it's a really, not I'd be saying this if it wasn't our show anyway, but I think it's a really unique opportunity for fans to really just hang out and share the environment with one of the icons of cinema. I yeah, I'm really thrilled about it. As I am with Deadly Eyes too, or Rats.
Well,
Like
I
I was
got
a Herbert.
VIP, so I get to go to both.
I know, like, and that's going to be super fun too, because to have them both there, and especially with both of these things having 16 mil prints, which is an experience, a unique experience on its own, because like you have to change reels and everything. So what you have is a real throwback experience where it's a 16 millimeter projector projected, and then in between reels we're going to have the guests come and like chat, and maybe we'll ask some questions, or people will ask questions, or what have you, and and drinks will be available, and it's just going to be a really cool evening that way.
Will there be White Russians so I can go Lebowski style?
Maybe, I don't know. You have to ask Ali about that. I'm not sure what, other than beer and wine, I'm not sure what's
I
going to
love
be
Ali.
offered. Yeah, but yeah, I think it's going to be really fun, and it's in the same environment, and it's going to be good.
I challenged Chris Alexander to something, but he says that they don't make 16 millimeter print of this, but I'm like, get a 16 millimeter print anyway. Get a 16 millimeter print of The Room.
Of The Room. I'm surprised he hasn't made 16 mil prints, although it's probably cost. I don't know, like, yeah, because 16 mil prints look great. They don't degrade very easily. And they're
My
pretty
younger
hard, but they're
brother,
expensive,
it took my younger brother 3 hours to get through that movie.
Really?
Every 5 minutes, he had to go out and have a smoke so he could digest what he was watching.
But yeah, I mean, I personally love really horrible movies, but they have to be specifically horrible. They can't be made to be bad. Like Birdemic, I know that there's a lot of fans of. I'm not a fan of it because it's just so kind of.
I just interviewed a couple people from this one, and this one was bad.
Oh yeah, yeah.
This was really bad.
That one I
But
haven't seen since I was a kid. So, but yeah, like The Room, various movies have, the intention is there to make art. The intention is there to make a really good lasting movie. It's just that the ability is so far below the intent that it just becomes sort of funny
here's
and
another one that
unique.
was really bad, but I had to get it.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
It's bad.
Is it? Oh no.
The Seduction with Morgan Fairchild.
Anything with Morgan Fairchild was worth watching for me as a kid too.
Oh, she's gorgeous, but Seduction is so illogical.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. The movie's worst stalking case. But okay.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's fun watching bad movies.
It is. Yeah,
One
my
of
wife
my
doesn't get it at all. She doesn't understand the whole appeal to bad movies at all.
Have you ever
Like,
showed her Attack of the Killer Tomatoes?
no, see, that's a really fun one though.
I love that one.
Like I think there's a knowingness there, and I think it's a really fun, smart, funny movie.
Do you ever think
Yeah.
about bringing somebody in from that one? I've interviewed the writer of that movie. Oh, his name's not coming to mind right at the moment, but I had him on.
Yeah, I can't remember who it is either, but has he done other stuff? Like I really can't remember who
Killer
wrote it.
Tomato stuff.
Oh yeah, just the franchise. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I heard there's supposed to be another Killer Tomato movie coming out sometime in the future, and I guess it was announced at one of the Comic Cons,
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah, and let's just say it got a very good response.
Hmm.
Let me see. I'm gonna bring that up here because I hate it when I can't think of people's name. Costa Dillon. Costa Dillon.
Hmm.
Yeah, there you go. I
Yeah.
had him on the show. That
Yeah.
was
I
going
thought.
to nag at me if I didn't figure that out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw the sequels, but I don't really remember them. I remember um, that they were really clever as well. But I do remember the first one. First time I saw it, I think it was at we had a B movie festival here, and I could be wrong, but I think that's the first time that I saw it. And yeah, I was really taken aback as to how funny it was and how well acted, and yeah, I'm a fan of it. I haven't seen it in many years, but I mean, between all of the new stuff coming out and the things that you'd like to revisit, I mean, there's just not enough hours in the day unless someone doesn't sleep like you.
Yeah. Actually, I was talking to Chris earlier about how good 2022 has been for horror.
Hmm.
I mean, I went and saw X 4 times in the theater. I loved
Did you
it.
really?
I
Wow.
loved X. And I just saw Pearl. I gotta say, Mia Goth, what a performance. And Jenna Ortega, what a discovery.
Hmm.
Because before this year, I didn't even know who she was. And she was in the new Scream. She was in X. But Mia Goth gives a performance in Pearl that is deserving of an Oscar nomination.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
that good. Um, and of course, Black Phone came out. We got Halloween
Hmm.
Ends coming out, and of course, a film I just did an interview from that hasn't come out yet called Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been reading about that. That looks interesting.
And
Yeah, I'm not looking
Barbarian.
forward to the next Halloween. I didn't like the last Halloween.
You know what? I'm a big fan of the original.
Hmm.
Speaking of people, you should try to get at some point at Horror-rama. Sandy Johnson,
Sandy Johnson. Hmm.
who played Judith Myers. I've had her on here 3 times. She's a doll.
Yeah,
She's an absolute doll.
yeah. I mean, the first one is a classic, but I don't know when they re these last remakes. I know it's been pretty polarizing, but I fall on the naysayer group, especially in the last one. The last one just did not resonate with me at all. Like,
I'll say one thing, Kyle Richards grew up hot.
yeah, yeah, that's true.
I was like, wow, that's a little girl from Halloween.
Hmm.
Boy, she grew up to be a stunning woman.
Right.
Yep. That's the first time I'd seen her in ages, and it's like, wow. I hope she survives ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope she survives ends. But no, Horror-rama, I'm so looking forward to. Talk about getting Caroline into this.
Hmm. Oh, talk about it.
Yeah,
That's
getting
more
her
of
in.
getting guests is more of Chris's thing. Like, he has greater access to these people because of what he's done and what he's edited, and currently he edits Delirium magazine, but as you know, he worked at Rue Morgue and he edited Fangoria, so he has a lot of contacts. And yeah, so a lot of times we'll bandy around names, and he'll be the one that goes out and finds out who, how to get a hold of them through their agent, or sometimes directly with them and stuff. And so that's something to ask him about, because I'm not privy to too much of that.
Why aren't you
Other
privy too
than
much
her.
to it?
Sorry.
You got your thinking cap on. Why aren't you
I
privy
do,
to
yeah, yeah.
it?
Although the name came up, and I remember thinking, I don't know if she'll kind of want to come over, but she said yes. It was like when he bandied around Bava's name as well, and we thought, oh, okay, I mean, that's one of our goals is to um, because of the pandemic and everything, there's a lot less money to go around, like for studios and things like that, for sponsorship, which is too bad, because we have a lot of names that we'd like to bring over, but like from Europe and things like that, but of course it becomes cost prohibitive and all that. But there's so many, good, talented people out there that never do shows here anyway, and Caroline was one of them. I don't know when. I think she's been to Toronto, but it must have been decades before, like, the last time she was here. I have no idea when she was here last.
Well, I was happy to have her on the show, but I'll tell you, I'm so looking forward to meeting her, because I've got the Golden Voyage of Sinbad here. I've got Maniac here.
Yeah.
And Slaughter High, which is not a good movie, but I had to grab it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll get her to sign those. I got a couple pictures signed of hers through her website. Yeah. But get my picture taken with her. That's going to be super awesome.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm really excited about that. But I really like the Canadian contingency that we have. With Sean and Lynn and Leslie and and
my pal.
Yeah, Lisa. Geez, my brain is just not. But yeah, I think they deserve a lot more attention than they do. I mean, Sean is pretty, like, he's a working actor. He's on Umbrella Academy, which my daughter is absolutely gaga over. She loves the show, and he plays a pretty important part. I'm not going to say who he is, but I mean, that's got to be thrilling to be on a hit show, based on the comic book again. And yeah, so I think between the four of them, I think the Canadian panel is going to be fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, he was also in Wayne's World.
He was, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to connecting with Lisa. I usually phone her about once a week, and we catch up, and
yeah, she's so nice. How did you get to meet Lisa?
How I interviewed her twice, once in 2015 and once in 2017. I'm looking to have her on again when she's ready to talk about a new project, but on that second interview, we were talking about travel, because she had just moved back to Toronto. And I was talking about the fact, I never travel and blah, 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 I get homesick. She asked what was stopping me. And she pitched the idea of me going to Toronto and assisting her at Horror-rama.
So that was the first time you saw her in person?
I was like, I couldn't say no to that.
No,
I was petrified of the idea of actually leaving here. And then I got here and didn't want to come home. I took Porter Airlines, landed in Toronto Island. It's the first time I've seen escalators since the 80s.
Oh,
we don't have them here anymore.
Oh, no?
Nope, not since the 80s. But I remember going to the surface and called Lisa, and Lisa told me to take the shuttle bus to Union Station. So when I got to Union Station, I waited. Then I got a call from her, wondering where I was. It turns out I was at the other end of the building.
Okay.
So, she came around the corner, and that was when I first laid eyes on Lisa. And she came up, and gave me a big hug, and asked me how my trip was and whatnot, and took me for a little tour of Union Station. And we took the subway, and she got me well schooled on the subway.
Okay.
Yep. And the streetcars and stuff like that. And once I went to where I was supposed to drop my stuff off, she asked if I was jet lagged. And I said no. And wanted to know if I wanted to get something to eat. And I said sure. So I connected with her again, and we went to a little pub. And she asked me a lot of questions about New Brunswick. I met her son, Emerson, which was pretty cool. And yeah, mainly talked about where I was from. We didn't talk a lot about the business,
Hmm.
but something strange was going on through my head during the whole thing.
What's that?
As why the hell am I not homesick? Like seriously, I go to Moncton and St. John, I get homesick.
Hmm.
So this was really weird, but I was digging it.
Hmm.
I arrived on a Thursday. The following day, I asked Lisa if she wanted me to come with her when she got her photos. And she thought that would be great. I could carry stuff and whatnot, but it also gave me an opportunity to see more of the city,
Hmm.
So I went, and she got her photos, and then we had Horror-rama after that. And Horror-rama opened up a lot of stuff because I'm still in touch with Blood Opera.
Oh yeah. Great guys.
Yep. And up until about a month ago, I was in touch with Ryan Brown, but I won't get into that.
Oh
um,
no.
Ryan's a great magician, but nonetheless, I've had him on here a few times. But anyway, and Taya Munster I had on here, but I'm finally going to meet her when I go there.
Oh, you haven't met Taya?
I've not met Taya,
Hmm.
but I've had her on here. So and of course Allie.
Yeah.
I've met a few people through Horror-rama, so it's been really cool.
Hmm.
Yep. So, but the thing with Lisa is she taught me well, because I remember I went there for a Comic Con in 2019, and I almost didn't go because Lisa was going to be in Los Angeles.
Oh
And I
yeah.
was like, what if I got stranded? She told me to go because I could increase my brand. But I know what she was really doing. She wanted to see how I would do in Toronto unsupervised.
Hmm. And how
And
did you do?
I did well. She called me at some point that weekend, and I said, yeah, I'm doing fine, except for lugging 3 bags of stuff from that con. I tried to get to the subway, but ooh, way down, there's this cab driver that was looking at me, and it was this sympathetic look, and I was like, I nodded his way, and he opened the door. I was like, yeah, you read my mind. I'm like, yep. I have a great time in Toronto, so I'm looking forward to it. And
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. Have you
so
been to you've been to Niagara Falls though? Have you
yep,
been there before? Yeah.
yeah. I was there last year for the first time. What I did for that,
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember that.
I rented a car, but I
Hmm.
got Lisa to drive it, because there's no way I was going to drive out there. I don't know my way, and I'm not navigating the traffic.
Right.
So Lisa drove. She stayed with a friend of hers, and I went to Tower Hotel. And that went well. I met Ryan Brown had called me, and we went to a restaurant and had a nice meal. And the following day, went in there, and I had a blast at that event too.
That's good.
I remember meeting CJ Graham, and I had Nancy McLaughlin on the phone because I called her up, and I'm CJ Graham, and I said, somebody here wants to criticize your roadside etiquette. They chatted for about 2 minutes, so it was fun. But yeah, we got some good people there. What about Tom Matthews, man?
Yeah, that'll be really fun. It's like my wife just does not like horror movies. She just
What's
doesn't.
wrong with her?
I know, but she does allow us to go to see some horror movies during the Halloween season. But I'm
What
pretty
do you
careful
mean
as to what
allow
I
you?
pick.
What's wrong with
No,
you?
no, no, no. I watch stuff all the time, but allow all of us. And Return of the Living Dead was one that I picked because it has such broad appeal. It's so funny, and sure, it's a horror movie, and there's a lot of prosthetics and there's a lot of gore effects and stuff, but it's just
There's
so
Linnea
likable and
Quigley,
so funny and so well written and so well acted, and
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 there's
Tom
Linnea
is just
Quigley.
great. Yeah, I mean, we've had her, and I mean, that was a thrill because when I saw Return of the Living Dead when it came out, and I mean, you couldn't help but sit there and just think, wow, look at her. And the great line, like she's getting naked again, and the whole dance in the tombstone. And I
How old's
mean,
your son, if you don't mind me
oh, my
asking?
my daughter's 12.
And she saw Return of the Living Dead?
She didn't. No, that was
Because I
that
was
was
going to
years
say
before she was born.
Linnea
But she's
Quigley is she shows a little much for a
She
12-year-old.
does, yeah. But my daughter is following more in my footsteps because she can see stuff, and it doesn't affect her at all. I showed her Alien the other day, and yeah, she didn't freak out at all. And I remember seeing it when I was 17 or something, and I was just blown away. Like, but I think she's a lot more. I'm very, like, I explain how movies are done,
Mm-hmm.
how they're made behind the scenes. So I think that kind of like um, uh, gives her a separation to the movie, so she
I
can
think
see an
that's
effect as an
cool.
effect. Yeah, so she'll watch it. But I mean, she's part of the Stranger Things generation, right?
Did you
Where
show
it,
her
it
Halloween, the original? Because that's not got a
no, but
lot of blood in it.
I'm going to, yeah, because I gave her a shirt, a Haddonfield High School shirt,
Uh-huh.
because she's so into the retro stuff, the 70s and 80s, and I think she'd like Halloween, and yeah, because Stranger Things have really um, introduced a whole generation to that kind of vibe, whether it's Carpenter type, like even the music in Stranger Things is very Carpenter-esque, and the theme song where it's just an electronic kind of repeating motif and everything, and the lettering is classic, a novel by Stephen King, font, like everything about it is a throwback, which it kind of has to be if you have kids, because narratively, kids don't go wandering off anymore, and so if you have a storyline where a group of kids go out and have adventures, it has to be pre modern day. It has to be before cell phones. It has to be at a time when you did that. I mean, I did that. I would have breakfast at home, like on a Saturday or something, and take off and not come back home until dinner, or maybe lunch if I was hungry. But and my parents had no idea where we were. Like, we would just go wherever, and that doesn't happen anymore. So
So let's analyze your wife for a minute. What kind
uh,
of movies does she watch that warp her mind? I mean, what kind of movies does she like?
oh, she likes all kinds of stuff, like everything from classic Hollywood and dramas to documentaries, foreign movies, animation, just not horror. Horror kind of like affects her, and in fact, most of the people that I know kind of feel that way, like being a grown up, like my social circle, other than Horror-rama and all of the horror con family that we all see each other, and customers and stuff, like um, uh, people that I know through my daughter, like parents and stuff. The very few of them are right into the horror genre.
Oh, we
you
need
know.
to change that, man. We need to help
Yeah,
them out.
which is too bad. I mean, there's a couple of parents that are, but you kind of, the one thing that you miss is when you see something really good and you immediately want to tell somebody about it, right? Like you immediately want to say, I just saw something that was really great, and, like, and it's getting no attention whatever whatsoever, or even
Are
stuff
they?
that did get attention they wouldn't have heard of, like stuff like Midsummer, or things like that. It's just they wouldn't know about it.
I liked X.
X, yeah. I mean, I liked X too. I wasn't blown away by X though.
I saw it 4 times.
I know. Gosh, that's pretty.
I gotta
That's a
see
lot of
Pearl. I
times.
gotta see Pearl again too.
Yeah, I've got to see that. It's a worthy successor to X, or not really successor because it takes place
It's a
beforehand.
prequel, and it has this old Hollywood look and feel to it.
Oh, does it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what he's coining on this. But Mia Goth is is a selling point,
Oh,
because I'm
yeah.
gonna tell you, there's a couple of points in this places in this film where it, with Psycho and The Exorcist, Rosemary's Baby, Silence of the Lambs, they all got some Oscar nominations, and some of them even got some wins.
Hmm.
Mia Goth gives a performance in Pearl that is worthy of an Oscar nomination,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm not the first to say that.
Right.
Yeah, but no, and they're gonna do a third one called Maxine.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I
Only
mean,
as
I like Ty West stuff a lot.
mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, his aesthetic is bang on, when he's trying to emulate a, a particular decade. He's like right there, everything about it.
So does your wife like The Room?
I showed her a little bit of The Room. I kind of prefaced it by, I was trying to describe the overwhelming feeling of The Room, and to me, it's almost like, and I don't think I'm the only one that said this, but it's like it's a drama made by aliens who just did not understand human beings, because the thing about Tommy Wiseau that's so odd is it's his it, it's
Yeah,
hard to
try to
even
figure that
quantify
out.
it. Yeah, it's like,
I mean, he told me in the interview that he was one of his inspirations was Clint Eastwood. So I mean, come on, keep
really,
going.
he doesn't understand human interaction, like he'll shift from, you know uh um, yelling and being, like traumatized to happy within a moment, with no regard to what's just happened. Or it's just the strangest thing. You've got to see that sitcom on
Oh,
YouTube.
you're gonna have to. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's called, what is it called? I'll have to look it up. I can't remember, but he's a super in a building, and the comedy derives from all of the people that live in this building. But yeah, you've got to see it. It's like, you, yeah, yeah.
So I tell you somebody else I'd love to see you guys bring to
Mhm.
Horror-rama that would actually kind of fit. If you guys need to bring in Jake the Snake Roberts.
Ah, that'd be fun. I think
Yeah,
Frightmare had him one time.
I would love to meet him.
Yeah,
I'd love to meet him.
he's an interesting wrestler. I used to watch wrestling during that time when, those personalities were so great.
I had Roddy Piper's son and daughter on here,
Oh, did
and
you really?
yep, oh yeah, and I'm still in touch with Ariel, his daughter.
Hmm.
Roddy was before he passed away, he was in a movie, one of those so bad it's good movies.
Oh, yeah.
Are you ready for this one?
Uh-huh.
It's called Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies.
Was it any good?
It's bad, but bad in one of those entertaining ways. I actually got the Blu-ray and I had the director on here twice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a wrestlers end up doing the show, but what they don't know is the show is at a prison and there's zombies in there due to
Oh
this
yeah.
cult ritual.
Mm-hmm.
So you got Roddy Piper, you got Hacksaw Jim Duggan, you got Shane Douglas, you got Matt Hardy, you got Kurt Angle. Um, Kurt Angle does the ankle lock on a zombie and rips his foot off.
That's hilarious.
Roddy Piper even hits one with a coconut and reminisces to his Piper's Pit with Jimmy Snuka.
That's funny.
Yeah. So Roddy Piper's the lead, and yeah, the effects are bad, but it's one of those you can kind of laugh at. It'd be something fun to see at drunken cinema if they put it on.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but I got the Blu-ray here, and it's something.
Yeah.
Yep. So you should look that up. I wonder if your wife would like that one.
I wonder. I don't know. She may not. I mean, some, I've seen some movies that seem like they're gonna be cheesy and terrible, but I've actually grown quite fond of them, you know?
Another
Like,
one I enjoyed that I saw not long ago, and I got the Blu-ray, was Willy's Wonderland.
oh yeah, yeah,
I enjoyed
yeah.
that, and I did a couple interviews from that one too.
Oh, did you? Who'd you interview?
I interviewed Jessica Graves Davis, who was Did you see the movie?
No.
Okay, she was one of the animatronics, but I didn't know that. I thought this was a computer generated effect. This character. Nope, it
Hmm.
was a woman done up.
Hmm.
And she could dance, so that helped with her movements. And I had BJ Geyser on, who operated the ostrich,
Oh yeah,
the ostrich animatronic. So
that's pretty neat.
it was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. That was with Nicolas Cage, and he says not a single line of dialogue in it.
He doesn't say there's no dialogue at all?
Not from him. Other
Oh,
characters,
okay.
yes, not from him. But it doesn't take away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of Nicolas Cage, he did a film called Mandy that I recommend.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have
Now,
seen that.
did you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. What's Mandy's connection with Friday the 13th?
What?
There is a connection, and the director said it's deliberate.
What is it?
You know when they're at the convenience store, his wife is, and they run into the people that eventually kidnap her,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like reading this book. Crystal Lake is mentioned.
Is it? I
Yep.
don't remember that. Oh,
Oh
okay.
yeah, it's mentioned. And it was deliberate. So this story takes place somewhere handy to Crystal Lake.
Hmm.
But apparently, through what I've read, Nicolas Cage, this is what I've read. He was asked to watch Friday the 13th Part 3, and in this movie, he's more or less his character, but he's basically Jason.
Oh yeah.
Yep,
Hmm. That's neat.
going on a kill spree,
Huh.
which he ends up doing eventually.
That's pretty cool.
But if you watch that again, when his wife is at that convenience store and she's reading her book, and the bad guys come in there and they do that little casual chat,
Mm-hmm.
Crystal Lake is mentioned.
Huh. That's
Yep.
neat.
And apparently it was deliberate.
I gotta see that.
Yep. That would make a great trivia question.
Yeah, it would.
Yep. Yep. But nonetheless, who is Caroline Monroe the one you're most looking forward to seeing this year at Frightmare?
I think so. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
might
I would
melt.
say so. But it was Tom, but it would have to be Caroline, you
I'm
know.
looking forward to meeting her, and I'm looking forward to meeting Tom Matthews.
Hmm.
I'll meet
I mean,
him after.
I'm looking forward to Lance Kerwin as well,
Hmm.
because um, I mean, I certainly remember, his TV work, but it's Salem's Lot that really, was such a big deal when I was a kid. Like everybody watched that miniseries, and we all talked about it the next day at school, and that'll be a thrill. You
Hmm.
know.
Yeah. And of course, the Canadian people.
Yep.
Lisa in particular for me. Love Lisa.
Oh yeah.
I got a couple T-shirts done with her face on it. One I'm
Oh,
gonna
have you?
wear, yeah. One I'm gonna wear, and one of them I'm just gonna have draped on the table because Lisa's gonna take orders for them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So she rather than go out and get a bunch of them and not knowing how many will sell, she wants to see how well it would do.
Mm-hmm. That's a good
So
idea.
yeah. So I had another one done up in a different color just to kind of have on the table there. So that maybe she could maybe to sell something like that, or another avenue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So what have you been doing the last couple of years while the pandemic's happened? Have you been frightful about not doing Horror-rama?
Like, did we consider not doing it again?
No, have you been like the year would come along, I mean, it must have been hard not being able to do Horror-rama.
Well, yeah. I mean, I mean, it was such a time of uncertainty, right? That we just did not know what was going to happen, and we always thought we were going to do it again, but like even early on in the year, we were debating just because, like I said, things were changing constantly. Like if you remember back in February, March, I mean, everyone was wearing a mask, and there was still big debate, and I mean, even even recently, there's been all this talk about, the variants, and with winter coming on, there's going to be a lot more people inside. So I don't know. It was really up in the air whether we were going to do it this year, but it just seemed to be a go. During the pandemic, I mean, I have a lot of stuff, so I took the opportunity to catalog a whole bunch of my personal stuff, which I would just have everywhere. And I'm not even done that yet. I worked on some artwork and some comics, sort of short horror comics that are hosted by my the Horror-rama mascot, sort of
Okay.
like a Tales from the Crypt type of thing, which I'd like to put out, and they might be published in an anthology very soon, but I'll let everybody know about that. Um,
Where did this character come about? Because Chris said that you come up with this.
I did, yeah. I remember really distinctly. I got up on a Saturday,
Hmm.
and we'd done one or two. I can't remember. I don't know when he started. One or two Horror-ramas, and I was having breakfast with my wife, and I said, I had this thought that we should have a mascot, and if the convention has a mascot, then we can kind of promote it with a mascot. Like immediately people will know that that's a character associated with the convention. So it's not just the logo, it's like more of a personality. And she said, well, that's a pretty good idea. What would you do? And I said, well, I was I always like psychobilly music and things like that. And so I just sat there literally with a board in front of me, and I said, well, it'd have to be probably something like this, this kind of feel. And I drew that one that you have on there. I drew it, and I, inked it in, and I finished it, and I said, something like this. And then the more I thought about it, it's like, no, not something like this. this is it, like it was the character. He just came out exactly as is, like, and yeah, I liked it, and I showed it to some people and they liked it, and so he just became the guy.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
well, it works. It works,
yeah, yeah.
So, what other special things that are going to happen at this year?
Who
Like
can
what?
tell?
Huh?
Who can tell?
Well, I'm looking forward to the two big events. I'm looking forward to the vendors.
Mm-hmm.
It is always a blast going there for this, and yeah, I might even stop by your booth and buy a Blu-ray. I seem to give you business every year. Yeah. How did you like Frightmare in the Falls last year?
Oh, I always like it. I always have a really fun time. It was interesting last year because, the distancing thing was in effect. And so it had a different feel because, all the booths were separate from each other, which was a smart thing to do. And it was actually kind of nice to have that much space around you. But I always have a really fun time at Frightmare. It's a bigger show than ours, and it's a different show than ours. Ours is more of like a clubhouse almost, and theirs is a bigger kind of convention. And yeah, I really like the show. I think Frightmare is great.
I had a blast at it last year. Laura Vandervoort, I was probably the most nervous to meet because she was so friggin' gorgeous.
Yeah.
Wow, I had goosebumps.
Yeah.
She did a little shout out for me on my phone, and Lisa Loring gave me her number. She's the second one. Lynn Laurie did that too when I met her, and it's like
Oh,
as I'm not used to getting numbers. Sometimes I'm used to getting cards, business cards and emails, but Lisa Loring's never gotten back to me. But she
hmm.
was interesting to meet.
Right.
Yeah, and Felissa Rose was the best.
Hmm.
My goodness, Felissa was wonderful. Did you ever meet Felissa Rose?
Just in passing, because she's done a couple of shock stocks.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, she gave everybody a big hug. And she did a shout out video for me, but she also did one for my younger brother who was looking after our folks at the time.
Hmm.
And I thought that was really cool of her.
Oh yeah, yeah, that is
She
nice.
she's supposed to do this show at some point, but she's in so many of these little Indiegogo horror movies. I don't know when that'll happen, but she's definitely down for it because Sandy Johnson connected me with her originally. So yeah, did you meet any of the celebrities when you were there? Or were you just stuck at the booth?
Yeah, I'm stuck at the booth. Yeah, because shows that are out of town I generally do by myself. And yeah, I'm just at the booth. So I very rarely go and meet anybody, you know, unfortunately. I mean, I'd love to, go to these shows just, as a customer and be able to do all the stuff because usually, no matter what show that I'm at, the ones that have panels and things like that, I only look at the panels afterwards because um, I don't want to look at the schedule beforehand because I know I can't go to any of them, and I don't want to feel like missing out at that moment. So it's for me, it's much easier to kind of see what happened and think, oh, damn it, I would have liked to have seen that, or I would have liked to have heard that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's like, yeah, because I'll just be distracted if I know that a particular person is doing a Q&A as I'm in the booth.
Who have you met that just blew you away?
It'll be surprising.
What, Chris
It would be,
Alexander?
yeah, I always.
He'll love
No,
that.
the most nervous I've ever been around someone was when I met Carol Spinney, Big Bird, because Big Bird was such a big part of my growing up, and and I'd recently seen that documentary I Am Big Bird, and yeah, I was absolutely just flummoxed around him. Like it was such a thrill to meet him. That was probably the most excited I've been. And then other than that, I've been the most kind of like thrown off and excited when I meet people accidentally, or and that would be when I had the store open. And I remember, when Quentin Tarantino came in, I was a bit kind of, nervous and little kind of gobsmacked because Pulp Fiction had just come out, and like he's a pretty tall guy. He has a really big head and stuff, and I was quite excited about that. Samuel Jackson used to come in all the time, and I remember the first time he came in, and he's very imposing. He has that big Samuel Jackson voice, um, and no one. He wanted to rent some stuff, and everyone was too nervous to get him a membership. But I said, oh, I'll do it. I have no problem with it. It was still kind of, exciting and intimidating. But yeah, I asked him for a couple of pieces of ID to set him up with a membership. And I said, I know who you are, but I still need some ID. And he just kind of laughed and gave me a few credit cards and stuff. So that was kind of fun. And just different people like that would come in, because you're within the context, you don't know that this is going to happen, and so it becomes like a startling kind of moment, as opposed to conventions, that these people are there, so you can kind of prepare for that.
So Samuel Jackson didn't look at you and say, "Oh, did I break your concentration?"
Yeah.
Oh, you're finished.
He was super nice. I'll tell you one story with Samuel Jackson. He was at the counter, and there wasn't a lot of people in the store. It was him, and then there's a couple like in the back, and so I'm just kind of talking to him because he was renting primarily like Hong Kong action films at the time, and so he saw these people looking at him, and he said, "Hold on a second." And he walked to the back, and I heard him say, "Hi, I'm Samuel Jackson. What's your name?" And he extended his hand to them, and they kind of, chatted with him, and they came up laughing, and he said, "You Canadians, you're so polite. You see me, but you won't come over and say hello, And yeah, he was like super nice always. Sometimes he'd come in with, I don't know if it was a bodyguard or a buddy or whatever, but they would just hang around the Hong Kong thing, ask us which ones we recommend, and just stuff like that, Yeah. And Dario Argento was really fun to have. We had him as a signing guest at the store, but his English was it wasn't great, so it was hard to communicate with him, but he was very funny, like he was very gracious, and would sign. He hung around, signed whatever people wanted, tried to make small talk, and when he was done, you knew it, because he just kind of said, "Okay, I'm done. Bye-bye." And he just kind of
I was very fortunate. I was very fortunate to get Daria Nicolodi on my show before she passed away.
Oh yeah, that would have been, yeah.
I had her on in 2020.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I did 30 interviews before the lockdown.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, before the lockdown in 2020, and hers was one of them. And when the lockdown happened, I was fretting because I had about 30 people waiting for me, and I couldn't schedule because the station was locked down. One of them was Nancy Allen, who I was lucky to get her on last year, because I loved her in Dress to Kill.
Yeah, she's so great in that, and RoboCop, and a bunch of stuff. I think I always thought she was a great actress, but she was so cute. Just a very magnetic kind of person.
I finally got her on last year. It was actually Nancy McLaughlin that suggested Zoom to me.
Oh, is that right?
Yep. And it was Carrie Yates, somebody I was associated with from 13 Fanboy, from the UK, who got me connected on here. So I was able to do this.
That's cool.
Yeah. Have you seen 13 Fanboy yet?
No, not yet. Do you have a copy of it?
Hopefully there will be one coming.
Okay.
Yeah, Debbie Sue, I think, supposed to send some signed copies of it though, but I'm a co-producer on that, and my picture, you can see it briefly. As a camera pans by, it's basically my Facebook profile picture covered in blood.
That's funny.
Yeah, and I cameo in 9 James Balsamo movies.
That's funny too. Yeah.
Yeah, including one where Eric Roberts is watching me on a television. That that's pretty interesting.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah. So what else have you got going on? I like your podcast with Glenn.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Yeah, we haven't done one in a little while. I just haven't had the time to do it, but yeah, the podcast is fun. It gives us an opportunity to, really block out a period of time and just chat and everything. So been not quite doing that, but I do that in the comic and the website, the suspect one, although I have to revamp because since Fan Expo, I sold so much stuff that my stock is like incorrect on there. So, but it's a never ending process. Horror-rama, and I'm a dad, which takes up most of my time. So yeah, that's probably the most fun thing. And my
Yeah,
daughter's really good at baseball. And if you're a baseball parent, or you know, then it takes up a lot of time. She plays like 3-4 times a week, and yeah, and that's the best thing.
yeah. Oh, gee, I was going to ask you a question. It completely slipped my mind. You ever have those moments? Well,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, but nonetheless, what was I go? Oh, I know I was going to. I love the Suspect podcast where you guys talked about heavy metal, the
Oh
movie
yeah,
Heavy Metal.
that was fun.
I tried to get connected. I never had no luck. The woman that apparently doubled as the model for the girl on the flying beast.
All right, yeah, the Tarna sequence, yeah.
Yeah, I would have liked to had her on because I that's what I always think of when I think of that movie.
Yeah, do you have the disc? Because
Yep.
there's a special feature on it about the shooting of it and everything. And I can't remember if they just showed photos or film of her kind of like doing her thing before it got rotoscoped into the movie. But I mean, it's a pretty great image. I mean, they used it for the poster, right? So
Hmm.
um, yeah, the heavy metal really holds up to a large degree. I didn't think that it would because I hadn't seen it in a long time. And sometimes when we come up with topics that we're going to talk about, it has to be something that we're both interested in. Um, and and one of us will just say it. And I can't remember what prompted it, but I think Glenn just got the disc or something, and he just watched it. And so we started talking about it, and we said, oh, that would be interesting because it's not just the movie; it's also the French comic Metal Hurlant, which became, not became, but there was the American version, Heavy Metal. So we could talk about that, and then the movie. And then when we started talking about the movie, there's, you do a bit of research and you come up with, you discover things that you didn't know about it before, like the extra sequences and yeah, a bunch of stuff. It was cool to do. It was cool to revisit it because it worked so well. It's funny because I entered into rewatching it thinking that it was going to be awkward, at least the timing. A lot of times when you see, classic animated movies, the timing is always really weird. And with heavy metal, it wasn't. It was really kind of cool. Yeah.
I like the one you guys did on Alice Cooper as well.
Yeah, we did like three three of them. We always
Yeah.
enter into a podcast thinking it's just going to be one episode, and then next thing you know, we've been talking for 2+ hours, and it's just kind of, oh god, you're going to have to divide this up. And then when I'm editing it, I have to determine at what point to kind of stop it and have the end of one part and everything. But it's time consuming doing a podcast. I have to determine what point to insert music or insert a commercial or a trailer or whatever it is that
Or
warrants
Glenn.
insertion. Yeah, Glenn is, well, yeah. I really don't cut out a lot of what Glenn says. In fact,
You
very,
got
very
to
little.
insert Glenn everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. He's so great though. Like he
Yeah.
he knows his stuff, and I find him endlessly entertaining to listen to. Um and yeah, he's really enthusiastic, and yeah, it's fun to do. Like the hardest thing about it, like the editing is hard, but also, I mean, we've done a bunch of them, and just coming up with different topics that both of us are interested in. I mean, I'm interested in a lot of things, so sometimes I'm just kind of, you know, um, trying to entice Glenn into doing a podcast that
I
he
have an
may
idea
not
for
be
you
too into.
guys.
Mhm.
Yeah, something I'd actually be really interested to hear about is the old tax shelter Canadian film thing.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Talk
think we
about,
bandied that around too,
yeah,
and
because I mean, I'd love to hear about movies like, Black Christmas and Class of 1984 and
oh yeah,
Happy Birthday to Me, Prom Night, all those movies that were shot during that time.
oh yeah. I mean, and it even kind of went beyond that, because at that time, uh, in the 70s, I mean, the tax shelter film part was greater, but also at that time, there's a real concerted effort to promote Canadian um, talent. And
Mm-hmm.
so at that time too, I don't know if you remember this or not, but they really discounted albums by Canadian artists. So you could go to a Sam's or what have you and buy an album for a much cheaper rate if it was a Canadian act. And I remember buying a bunch of stuff that I was kind of like, oh, I'll try this out. Everything from like, Prism and Trooper and, Rush, of course.
I
Uh,
saw Trooper in concert.
yeah, they're great, and
Mm-hmm.
April Wine, all these
Saw
bands,
them in concert too.
yeah, all these bands that were really good. And the I'm not sure. See, that's something to look into, whether it was a government thing or whether it was a record company thing. But it certainly worked. I mean, everybody I knew was picking up these things, where a regular album would be, let's say, $6.99 or something. The Canadian ones would be $3.99 or $2.99 or something like that. And so, yeah, you'd give it a shot. You'd hear one or two songs on the radio and think, oh, well, why not? And yeah, yeah. So that whole era would be interesting to talk about. Not just although the Canadian tax shelter thing is fascinating too, and especially, all the stuff going on in Quebec too,
Mm-hmm.
which preceded it and took advantage of it, right?
Mm-hmm. What other ideas are you guys bantering around?
Oh God, there's so many of them. I mean, a lot of them were, director specific, you know, too,
Like who? Like who?
everyone from like Brian De Palma.
Oh,
um,
nice. Love that.
yeah, yeah, because he's, inherently interesting. Or even like, bigger ones like Oliver Stone. And I mean, we wouldn't go film by film by film, but just, specifically pick ones that we're more interested in. Like with Oliver Stone, it would obviously be stuff like, Natural Born Killers and maybe the Doors and stuff, and really not Nixon or anything like that. Um,
What's your
but
favorite De Palma film? I like Dress to Kill. That's my favorite.
is it? I'd have to
Yeah.
say Carrie.
Carrie's great. Yep.
Actually, it's a throw. It's either Carrie or it's Phantom of the
I
Paradise,
love that
because
one
I
too.
absolutely love Phantom of the Paradise. But
I've done a
Carrie, I mean,
few
both of them,
interviews.
yeah, both of them are I think masterpieces, and especially the way that he uses the split screen is
Mm-hmm.
just so great, and it just works on so many different levels. Like um, to create tension, because you're seeing things from two different angles, which inherently makes it's just, I don't know, I can't vocalize it. But yeah, like De Palma, I still would like to do. And it'll probably be a couple of episodes, but but everything I can't, like, I had one idea for a podcast that I personally really like, but he was kind of iffy about, and it would be,
Talking
um,
about me. That
well, we're
would
gonna
be
do
that would
that.
that would be iffy on anybody's account.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to do an episode where we an episode about movies
Mm-hmm.
that, like, for people of a certain age now, like the younger folks, like there used to be a lot of ads for movies in newspapers,
Yep.
and the ads were great, and some of them were huge, and some of them would span the whole kind of length of the paper, and you put it up on your wall and everything, and it was really cool. And so I always wanted to do an episode of movies that you saw promoted in newspapers with great art, like amazing looking poster that you did not get a chance to see until you were much older. And you finally saw it, and it totally falls way below the expectation of the poster.
Oh,
I
you
always thought
guys
that would
should
be
do
really
it.
kind of cool. I know, like for me, the one that stands out the most was Battle Beyond the Stars? No, Message from Space.
Okay.
Message from Space was an Asian science fiction film that came out in the wake of Star Wars, and the poster is great. You know, like there's a lot of characters shooting lasers, and there's this spaceship that looks like an old, like almost like a pirate ship or something. You know, with billowing things, and it just looks amazing. And then I finally saw it maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, and it is atrocious. It's the level of like so bad it's hilarious. And I thought, fuck, like that is not what I expected that movie to be, because that poster just really really spoke to me. It was just such a great image. But and I know that there's a bunch of other ones too. I mean, you know, like the art of the poster is the art of the, you know, like VHS cover, right? Where it just promises one thing and delivers none of that, like zero, you know. And I thought that would be a fun episode to
I
do.
think you
And
should.
yeah, I think so too. Well, tell Glenn.
You know what disappoints me is when you get
Me.
a movie that's got a great poster,
Mm-hmm.
and then the studios release it and again, and
Mm-hmm.
it's got different cover art, and it's like you got a bunch of the fucking actors lined up in the background or something like that, and it's like the picture is just nothing,
Yeah.
like it was.
Yeah.
I hate it when they do that.
Yeah.
I remember the Friday the 13th, they released a bunch of them with the alternate art, and I was like, no,
Yeah.
no, keep what you had. They mean not all the movies were great, but they all seem to have great cover art.
I know. Like there's a real sense of sameness all the time, you know. A friend of mine in the industry, Sean, told me that you'll
Sean
notice
Clark.
that.
Sean
Oh,
Clark.
no, no, no.
Okay.
But he said that you'll notice that with most movies, they'll have the title on the top of the DVD, and that's because of, you know, the Walmart effect, where they'll put it in a staggered kind of like display. And so
Mm-hmm.
if you can't see the title, then chances are you're not going to pick it up. And so they purposefully design it so that it's on the top so that you can see it. It's much like, you know, were you a comic book guy?
Not a
Did you
whole
collect
lot.
comics? Like in comics back in the day, they would have, you know, the cover, and then they would have like a little, you know, they would have the cover, and then they'd have a little strip with the character on it. So
Mm-hmm.
they would have Spider-Man's head, or, you know, Superman's head, or whatever. And that was purely because of the way that they set the comic so that you could see, you know, it's all designed for display, for the display purposes. And yeah, with the movies, when they don't use the original artwork, poster work, it just drives me bananas, because like you said, they'll just replace it with this stupid generic, you know, multi-faced, you know, design where you have the three or four actors, you know, like heads on there, and maybe a cityscape behind them or some stupid thing, and it says nothing. It just doesn't, you know, it's just terrible.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that, and it's like, give us the original poster art.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like either they feel that it, I don't know what they feel. Either they feel that it's not a selling point, or do they have to, you know, pay royalties to the artist? I have no idea. Like it's mystifying to me.
One of my favorite posters was poster arts was Miss 45. I love that
Oh
poster.
yeah, that's a great poster. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. But there's many that I do like, but I don't know. But I am definitely looking forward to Horror-rama. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. You
Thank
know,
you. And
you
me
got
too.
yeah, you got my extra large T-shirt ready.
Not yet. It's coming.
What do you mean it's coming?
We get
What you
that
do?
like we
What
get
you
that
doing?
a couple of days before the show.
What you doing? Knitting it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I'm drawing it.
drawing it.
Yeah.
Is Allie Chapel gonna be serving haunted teas?
She is. Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, I
Yeah.
gotta go down and see Allie. I had her on here last year. Well, I gotta say Chris Alexander's lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I got
She's
a
great. They're both really, great people.
I got a bunch of his movies here too, and looking forward to seeing Blood Opera. I love those guys.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't think they're there. They may show up, but they're not. They don't have a booth or anything. They're going to
Why
be
don't
at
they?
Frightmare. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe because they're doing Frightmare instead. I'm not sure.
Oh, jeepers, I'm gonna have to slap them around if they're not there.
Yeah.
Slap them silly. Why? I wonder why they've been there every year I've been there.
Have they?
Yeah.
Hmm. I don't know. I didn't think so. They were there the last time, but I don't know if they were there before
Oh,
then.
yes, they
Maybe once
were.
before. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yes, they were. They were there that first. They were there in 2017 because that's when I first met them and got their business card. And then 2018, Lisa and myself and the group, the guys from Blood Opera, went for poutine and nachos in a little pub down the street from Horror-rama.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And then they were there last time because, well, I got the pictures to prove it.
Huh. Okay. I didn't know.
Oh, jeepers. I'm gonna be disappointed if they're not there.
Hmm.
Yeah, I always look forward to seeing them.
Yeah.
Oh, oh well. But anyway, it was great having you on here today, and I
Yeah,
had
it
to
was
have
really
you
nice
on
to
and
come on.
oh yeah, talk about Horror-rama. I've been yearning to come back to Toronto since I left last year.
Yeah, yeah. And for anyone listening, it's October 1st and 2nd. Get your tickets at horrorramacanada.com. And yeah, come on out. It's a lot of fun. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a part of it.
Here's a question for you. If you had a chance to book any guests for Horror-rama, who would you want to book?
Living or dead?
Yeah, why not go there? Yeah, why not?
Kubrick.
Kubrick.
Yeah, he's my favorite director.
Okay, what's your favorite
Yeah,
Kubrick film?
it changes. My favorite is probably The Shining.
Never did an interview from The Shining.
No.
Not from lack of trying. I have had a couple of guests from A Clockwork Orange on here,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and I've had
I mean,
one per
all of his movies are like the height of cinema for me.
and I had one person from Eyes Wide Shut on here.
Hmm,
Yeah,
that's cool.
yeah. So yeah, love Kubrick. I'll tell you somebody who would have been great at one of these uh, if they were going on at the time would have been Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh, Hitchcock. Yeah, Hitchcock would have been great. I mean, Cronenberg, I think, would be right up there. Carpenter would be right up there. Um, yeah, I mean, Stephen King, obviously. I'm a big King fanatic. I think Joe Hill, his son, writes really, really well too. I love his short stories. I think they're absolutely terrific. Um, yeah, yeah, a lot of people.
I actually looked this up. Comic-Con has been going on since the early 70s.
That's right.
Did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
How
Not
long?
that size though. It was very small.
When did the Horror-Con start? How early?
Anywhere?
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea. It would have started in the States somewhere, but I don't know who would have been the first ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Outside Frightmare and Shock Stock, have you been to any of the ones at the States?
Just as an attendee in the 90s, I used to go to the Chiller show
Oh, I
in
heard that's good.
New Jersey. Yeah, it was great. I was going there. They held it. I'm not sure if they still do twice a year, like the weekend closest to Halloween, and then 6 months later. And me and some friends would go down there all the time and pick up a bunch of stuff for the store. But that's pretty much it. That's the only show that I went to. I'd like to attend some of the other ones for sure. Like I've heard that Horror Hound's really fun and Texas
Mhm.
Frightmare is really fun, and yeah, yeah, at some point maybe, hopefully.
Well, I look forward to Horror-rama. I look forward to Frightmare in the Falls too. They get 27 guests booked for that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep,
they're a big company.
yep.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward. Horror-rama's my heart is into that, and
Oh,
I'm looking
nice.
forward to seeing Lisa, and definitely looking forward to seeing Caroline Monroe as well.
Yeah,
That'll be
yeah.
something. Anything else you want to plug and promote before we close off?
uh I think that's pretty much it. I don't know if you wanted to check out my business site. For anyone
Mhm.
that's listening, it's suspectvideo.ca. So yeah, if there's anything that you're looking for, just shoot me a message. Yeah, or message me on Facebook.
Absolutely. I'd love to order some stuff off there. I
Yeah,
tried to before, but there's a lot of stuff out of stock.
I know. I know. Whenever we do a big show, we sell a lot of stuff, and then I have to redo it. But as soon as Horror-rama's done, I'm concentrating on the site.
There you go.
Yeah,
Well, I'll visit you guys at I suppose you guys are gonna have Glenn in the booth at Horror-rama, right?
he will be there. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, Lewis, before we let you go, would you mind doing a plug for the show?
Sure. What would you like me to say?
Just state your name and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Okay.
Go.
This is Lewis from Horror-rama and Suspect Video, and you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Absolutely. And we actually saw him with his hat off, folks. Chris Alexander won't ever take his off.
No.
Does he like have a couple of Homer Simpson strands on his head?
Yeah, I don't know. No
Yeah.
idea.
Oh. Well, Allie said she likes bald men, so
Ah, there you go.
that's what she said in my interview. So,
Yeah.
but that gives you kind of a hint.
Yeah.
You know what? It was wonderful having you come on here today,
Yeah,
and
thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
yeah, your third time on here. Next
Mm,
year, I'll have you back and we can talk about next year's lineup.
maybe so.
Oh, maybe so, yes. Why is it you get send me a message say, "Oh, I will be a dull guest"? I don't find you dull.
No?
No.
Hopefully, well, maybe you don't. Hopefully, all of your listeners don't either, but
What, you think I would reach out and have you on here if I found you dull?
oh, who knows?
You know what? I don't do this for hits and views. It's nice to have them,
Yeah.
have hits, views, and likes, but for me, it's nice to reminisce, and promote Horror-rama, and it's funny because Creepy Ghoul. You remember Creepy Ghoul?
Yeah.
Yep. He caught just a glimpse of me in his 2018 walk around video. And I told him, I said, you better be there this year because he's done every one of them. And sometimes at work, I'll listen to them just to listen to sounds of Toronto and
Oh
and
yeah.
Horror-rama.
That's
But
cool.
his only social media is YouTube.
Yeah.
And when I put my interviews up, I don't put them public right away. I put them, I release so many a month, but I always send the link to people so they can post them. His interview, before it went public, had a lot of views.
That's neat.
And it's not like, I remember Blood Opera was saying, you know, like, put it public. And I was like, just post the link, you'll be fine, you know? And then when it goes public, like, you know, didn't affect Creepy Ghoul any. I'll tell you, his got a ton of views, and he's not on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram.
That's neat.
Yep. I've kept in touch with him, but I never met him personally yet. So I'm looking forward to meeting him down there too.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. But he always mentions you in his
Does he? Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Yeah. So anyway, Louis, I was happy to have you come on here today, and looking forward to seeing you in about a week and a half. And
yep, that's gonna be fun.
Absolutely. Well, God bless you. You have yourself a wonderful day, and go play some baseball with your daughter.
Okay.
And
thanks for having me on.
And show your wife the room.
Yeah.
Sure, she'll love that.
Yeah.
Along with some Neil Breen movies.
Yeah.
You and her should have a Neil Breen date night.
Yeah, that would be fun.
I'm sure it would. You say that so convincingly. Anyway, you take care, man.
Okay, you too. See you, Greg. See you soon.
Absolutely. Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.